Start recording. Yeah, cool. Seems like it's normal amount of people. Cool. So we did the homework. Everyone made a bunch of classes, and those represented in-game characters, in-game character classes. Then we had a game that instantiates those classes. And if I run, my game. Oops, but it's not defined. Add this here. Cool. So what we're going to do now is basically refactor this and add in a lot more base stuff for our game. We're going to get ready. And to give you guys kind of an idea of what we're going to do with the game, we're going to make by the end of this, probably, 4 or 5 lessons later, so about, 12 days of coding maybe, we're going to have a prompt-based game. And you're going to play it in the command line like this. And you're going to, run your game, and it's going to be like, you're going to pick a class, and then you're going to fight mobs, and you're going to level up and choose spells. And that's where we're going with this. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick 3 of your classes that you've made. You can get rid of the rest, okay? So you pick 3. I'm picking Mage, Shaman, and Warlock. You can pick whichever 3 you want. But just so we don't have to do things 9 times, we'll do things 3 times. For each class we make, we'll do it. You guys got experience making different classes, so pick 3 that you like. I'm not really a warrior guy, so I'm going Mage, Shaman, Warlock. If you want to make custom classes, I think maybe Wonky or someone made custom classes. That's fine too. You're just going to have to extrapolate on and do your own custom stuff for those custom classes. But I kind of picked these 3, Mage, Shaman, and Warlock. So we're going to set up a lot of base boilerplate for our game. And I'm going to create in my game folder a new file. I'm going to call it readme.md, .markdown. And this is we're going to keep track of what we want our game to do. So I'm just going to call this game, and I'm going to say, in our game, you can choose a class, level up, cast spells, and attack mobs until you die. That's going to be the principle of our game. We're just going to fight mobs till we die, basically. And very simple, but it'll be a prototype of what a real game would be if it had a UI. We're not going to get into graphics programming because it's a little bit specific, complicated, needs a game engine, and it takes us away from what we're doing. So it's just going to run in the terminal eventually. And we'll get to prompting the user and prompting people in the terminal to be able to ask the terminal for questions. So when we run node.game.js, it can ask us stuff. Like when you run apt or brew, and it's like, do you want to install this? Yes or no? We'll be getting into that. Type the name of the class you want to do, and then pick your spells and stuff. So we're going to set up a lot of the boilerplate for that now. And boilerplate's a lot of stuff that, isn't playable. It's just like stuff we've done now. Like you need to have these classes in order to play them. So that's boilerplate, even though our game doesn't really work yet. I saw some people put the fight thing in there. That's fine. You're probably going to want to remove that because we're going to make a new rendition of it. But if you put the fight into this folder, that's fine too. But we're going to start off from where I'm at and where the last homework left off, assuming nobody did any extra stuff. I had a Warlock that gets an imp when you make it. I got a Shaman that gets a fire elemental when you make it. We have our pet class, just has a name, and our mage. So right off the bat, I notice all my files are in this one folder, and it's kind of annoying to me. I'm going to make a new folder within game. I'm going to call it characters. I'm going to drag my mage in there. I'm going to drag my shaman in there. I'm going to drag my warlock in there. And drag my pet in there. And then in the game, I'm going to go back. Oh, look, it automatically did it. That's great. If it didn't do it for you, that's fine. But you can see this is very smart, and it knows I've moved the file. So now it's /characters/warlock, /characters/shaman, because that's where it is over here. Game, characters. And my game can exist in the what we call the root folder here. I'm actually going to close this, actually. I'm going to open up just my game folder in terminal. So cd code cd test2, cd game, there. Now I don't have those other files from my test folder in here. So I just see my game on the left, which is a lot nicer. You see that now. Love it. So to show you, I didn't save that. So it's /characters/warlock, /characters/shaman, /characters/mage. And if I run game.js, I can see I still log it out. So now I got a little bit better structure as well. I've just got game in the root and my readme and the characters in their folder. Very easy to find stuff. A little bit further refactoring. So the first thing we're going to do is let's call this day 1 of game. Day 1 of game. I want to be able to level up a character and increase its stats. So right off the bat, I know, I need to pass in. We'll use the mage as the example. I'll say I got to pass in a level now, right? This dot level is equal to level. Now it has a level property. I think I'm going to skip that though and initialize it in the constructor itself to say this dot level is equal to 1. Because I want my guys to start off at level 1. I've played Elden Ring and stuff, and all those different classes start at different levels. If you want to do that, that's fine. My game is going to have you start at level 1. A mage doesn't start at level 5, and a shaman starts at level 3. And it's not configurable either. Everyone gets a level of 1. So now if I have to do this, I go to my shaman. I can say level. This dot level is equal to 1. Oops, actually, don't pass that in. I go to my warlock, and I say this dot level is equal to 1. I hope that you guys might have the same mentality that I have to say this is repetitive and stupid. I am adding the same code over and over again. What if there was a way to say all characters do stuff a certain way? They do stuff differently too. Some have pets and some don't. What if there was a way to say they all have levels? They all start at level 1. Well, there is. So I'm going to make a file called character.js and say class character. Oops, S. That's why I'm not getting the highlighting. Character.js. This is a class character. And it takes a constructor. It takes a name. It says this dot name is equal to name. This dot level is equal to 1. And then module.export is equal to character. Cool. This stuff is really basic, but it defines a character, right? We can all agree, no matter whether you're a mage, you're a shaman, or warlock, you need a character name, you need your level to be 1 when you start off. That stuff makes sense to me, at least. Let's define some attributes that are the same among characters. So my mage, I can get rid of this dot level is equal to 1. And my shaman, I can get rid of this dot level is equal to 1. My warlock, I can get rid of this dot level is equal to 1. I can get rid of name. This dot name. I can get rid of this dot name is equal to name. I can get rid of this dot name is equal to name here as well. Oh, no, sorry, that's the character. I can get rid of this dot name is equal to name in the mage. But how do I say that this mage is a character? Because it's just a class mage. Same with the shaman, right? Just a class mage. Well, first off, we know to import something from a different file, we need to do this. Const character is equal to require ./character. And then I can say my class mage extends character. So the mage extends another class. This is called polymorphism in programming. And it keeps things really clean and DRY, which means don't repeat yourself. Now, it might seem ridiculous now to do this, considering the only thing these characters share is a name and a level right now, right? But there's going to be more than that. Because every character is going to have an attack stat, right? It's going to have a magic stat. It's going to have a defense stat. It's going to have a speed stat. And imagine if I had to go do this in the mage and the shaman and the warlock. And then for all my other classes I make. I think that's a little bit stupid. So I think we can do this in the character class. I think we can just say, they all have this. And to me, that's good. I like it. I like saying characters act a certain way. They are the things that are the same among all characters. Mage, shaman, and warlock can all have different stuff, but it's specific to the warlock. So using the mage as the example, we say class mage extends character. And then I have another magic function called super. Super calls the constructor of the parent class, character. So if I hover over super, you see it says constructor of character name. So now when I run super, this runs. So I say my class mage extends character, and I can just call super. And if I run node game.js, boom, I've got my mage with all my stats. The level, attack, magic, damage, defense, and speed. Even though my mage only is this tiny. Because I called super and I extended the character. It's a base character. Mage is just a character. There's nothing special about it yet. Let's do the same thing for the shaman. Let's say const character is equal to require / character. Class shaman extends character and super on name. Let's run node game. Beautiful. My shaman has all the same stuff. And it still has pets. Even though mage doesn't have pets. Because that's not something that's the same to every character. So now our classes, this is the really cool part, only have the shit that's different from base characters. I can do the same thing for my warlock. Const character is equal to require / character. Class warlock extends character and super on the name to call the constructor of the parent class to initialize it. And then you can keep going after super to run this. Hey, now I've got warlock, I've got mage, I've got shaman. So let's go to our README and say the stats of each character are level, attack, magic, defense, speed. Base stats. Oh, and you know what? Health, mana. We've added 2 more things. So if we had these unique to each class like we did before in our exercise yesterday, I'd have to add them to all 3 classes. Now I just add them to the character. Run node. All my characters have health and mana. This is pretty cool, I think. But you notice that they all have health of 1. They all have attack of 1. So I think that the character class actually needs, to take these in as an argument in its constructor. Like, because you don't want your mage to have the same hit points as your warrior, or like your same attack as your warrior. I mean, that just feels weird to me. There's no class differentiation. So we take attack, magic, defense, speed, health, mana when creating a character. You say this level's 1, this attack is the attack, this magic is the magic, this defense is the defense, this speed is the speed, this health is the health, this mana is the mana. Okay. Now when I go to my mage, you can see I need to pass all these parameters in. So attack, magic, defense, speed, health, mana. So let's go to our README and say, in our game, 10 is a very strong stat, the max. to start with. 1 is the lowest. These are the boundaries we are going to define. A lot of games say like, oh, you've got 1600 health, or sorry, 1600 attack or something. We're going to start lower. It's going to go 1 to 10. So if I make my mage, I can think like, okay, so when I make my mage, I can give something specific to the character when I make the mage. So I can say attack is going to be 2. Now it's magic. Magic's going to be a 7. Defense is a 3. Speed is a 5. Health is, let's go to our README and keep documenting this. Health is different. Health and mana are different. They have no bounds. So I can say health, I think my mage is probably, let's say 50. It's going to start with 50 health, but he gets 200 mana. My shaman, when I run super for the character, I think, attack is going to be a 6. Magic is a 6. This guy's more well-rounded, I think, right? Defense is 8. He's actually going to be a defensive character, I think, in my game. It's going to be slow, speed of 3. Can have 100 health and 100 mana. So you can see he's already shaman's going to be a more well-rounded character. Even attack and magic and health and mana are a little bit more even too. He's slow. So I'm going to go my README sort of document this as well. Mage is a high mana, high magic, but low HP attack character. Shaman is a mid-range all-rounder. Warlock is a high HP, weak character that will deal most of its damage with summons. Go to Warlock. So that's helped me sort of define what I'm doing now because I wrote it out in my README. So now when I say that, I can say attack is going to be 3, magic's going to be 3, defense is going to be 7, speed's going to be 5, health is going to be 200, mana is going to be 100. So this guy's stats aren't that great. He's got a lot of health, but he's gonna make up for it with his pets. I think in my game at least, he's gonna be able to like summon multiple pets at once and have them deal damage and stuff. So as well, I've got the concept of my pet. Oh, I guess I should run my game, make sure it works first. Yes, so I run node and see my Warlock has the stats here. Mage has the stats here. They're all different. Shaman has the stats here, even though they're all in the character file, right? Because this is basically now saying character is like a template for us, which is so cool, I think. Like we can even have a function level up. This dot level equals this dot level plus 1. Every character can level up now. It doesn't have to be on the mage. The function doesn't have to be on the mage, shaman, or warlock. It's on character because all characters can level up. So I can say shaman.level up. Console.log shaman. And let's see if he has an increased level. He does. He's level 2. So that's so cool. So now we kind of know we can define base functionality on this character, keeping it really clean. Every character should be able to do this kind of shit. But implementation details per class can kind of live in their own files. And even among multiple files, because, we'll see we have our pet file. Warlocks have pets, and they're in their own file. So I think that's pretty cool. I think maybe with this, we have a good framework for how to tackle any problem in our game. I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to call it spells. I'm going to tackle this problem the same way I just tackled the character problem. So I'm going to write a spell.javascript, the class spell. This is going to be my base class, just like character. We're not going to make spells. We're going to use this in extends. So I'm going to say constructor has name, and let's say damage and mana. So this is how much damage a spell deals and how much mana a spell deals. And the start level is equal to 1. So we can level up our spells as well. They can get better over time. So I'm going to make, what do I got here? I got a mage, shaman, and a warlock. So I want to start giving them spells. So right off the bat, my character.js, I'm going to say dot to go backwards, slash, go down to spells, spell.js. So my character knows about spells. There's a couple ways I could do this. It's all about architecture, making this stuff easy, not over-engineering stuff. There's a couple ways I could do this. I could make new spell, fireball.js class fireball. Oops, so spell is equal to require / spell. Fireball, class fireball extends spell, constructor, name, damage, mana, super, name, damage, mana, to initialize my spell. But I don't think, this one needs a module export equals spell. We got to export spell. But I don't think, reasoning about it now, just thinking out loud how I would architect this, I don't know if the spells are going to have any different stuff. I think every spell can work with just the base properties. So do I need to make new files and new classes for each spell? I could. I'm not sure. I don't like it. I'm going to delete Fireball. I think it's over-engineering. I think we can make it work with just having a spell class. We add new properties in here. Maybe we have a damage over time or something, and I still think we can make that work with just the spell class. I don't think we need to create new classes for all of our spells. I think we can do this, though. I can create fireball.js. Const spell is equal to require / spell. And I can just say const fireball is equal to a new spell. I think this is probably simpler and better. The module to export is equal to fireball. And with spell here, I can say name, damage, and mana. Sure. Fireball deals 5 damage, and it takes 20 mana. And now a mage starts with fireball. Let's say that. How about we say a mage starts with fireball? So let's go in here and say mage is high mana, high magic, but low HP attack character that starts with the fireball spell. And let's say warlock is a high HP weak character deals both damage with summons and starts with an imp. Shaman is mid-range all-rounder that starts with a fire element. Cool. So let's run this, make sure I'm still running stuff. Yep, I am still running my game. So mage needs to import fireball, I think. We're going to give him fireball. Just like we imported the pet for the warlock when we go to the warlock, right? We say the pet is require / pet from the current directory. So we need to say mage is going to use const fireball is equal to require / spells / fireball. And let's say this dot spells is equal to an array. And this dot spells dot push fireball. Let's see if that works. Spell is not a constructor. What did I do wrong here? Oh, the module dot exports. Boom, there we go. As I log it out, my mage has, it has an array of spells now. So that's cool. So we've got ourselves kind of a reusable, cool pattern here, initializing custom stuff in the constructor of the class and basic stuff in the character. And the reason we kind of do this as well this early on, which like might not be what a lot of people would do when they teach, is to get you thinking about design when you do it. Because that's really the most important thing. Anyone can learn the programming, how to write for loops, put in enough time, you'll get it, right? Not a lot of people know how to actually engineer something properly. Over-engineering and under-engineering. So I think creating new classes for each spell is ridiculous in this, from my opinion. I think just the class spell is fine, and then each individual spell can be its own file. But maybe this dot spells can go to character because multiple characters are going to have spells. So every character can initialize an empty array of spells. Not every character will have spells, but since enough of them will, we can say that's going to belong in our character. We don't want to have to initialize this empty array in every class that has spells. That's going to be annoying. Let's run this, make sure it works. Get in the habit of that. Yep, mage still has fireball, empty spells on warlock, and empty spells on shaman. That's kind of cool. I think we also need weapons. Let's say weapon. I guess maybe, because I actually don't even know what this looks like yet. Let's do this part after. You know, this is a lot of what game design happens as well as what and programming design. It's like what order to do what in. So we know we have a spells folder, we have a characters folder. Things getting really organized, kind of easy to find stuff here. Pretty good. I'm gonna make a new folder. Weapons. New file. Weapon.js. Same pattern. Doing the same thing over and over. That's the goal. To make our whole application look the same so we don't have the context switch. We're just cognitive load. Just like we defined spell here. We're going to define weapon. Just a class. Right? And let's make a weapon. Let's make like a... and I got a warlock, a shaman, who doesn't have much shit yet. I guess the warlock and the shaman, the warlock and the shaman both need stuff. I'll make like a, maybe like a fucking, what's a cool mace? Like a under fury.js. Cool. So const weapon required / my weapon class. We're doing the same thing we've just been doing. I'm going to say const Thunder Fury is equal to a new weapon. I think I fucked up here. Module.export is equal to weapon. Right. Export it. Cool. So Thunder Fury is a new weapon, and its name is, Thunder Fury. Its damage is 7. Module.export is equal to Thunder Fury. I want my shaman to start with this weapon. And I'm going to go to my readme, say shaman is a mid-range all-rounder that starts with a fire elemental pep and the weapon Thunder Fury. Cool. These are ready to use. Go to my shaman. Need to require Thunder Fury. And it is, let's see, it's a directory back, so ... and then slash, and then it's in weapons, slash, and it's Thunder Fury. Cool. So my character, first I'm going to say this dot weapons is equal to an array. And go back to my shaman and say this dot weapons dot push Thunder Fury. Cool. Now I've got a pretty decent representation of an actual game here. I'm not going to lie. This is what it actually looks like when you're playing a game, right? When you're playing Diablo, WoW, The Last of Us, any of that shit. It's got this stuff that keeps track of your character's information. It knows all of it in one spot. And we've got a good organizational structure for it. I think we could really build on this. You could pretty much use the same pattern to do anything in the game. If you want to summon totems, if one character summons totems, defensive equipment. I'm going to create another spell, actually. I'm going to say, what's a weak healing spell? Like light heal. So, const spell is equal to require, not slash spell. Const light heal is equal to new spell. And same as light heal. And damage is, so now we've gotten into a game design situation. This should heal, but it only has a damage property. I think we should go to spell and call this just power. To keep track. It doesn't deal damage, right? Like, we'll get into how that actually works a little bit later, but I'll say it heals 7. And it takes 15 mana. Module.export is equal to light heal. And I'm going to say the shaman actually starts with 2 spells, Weapon Thunder Fury and Light Heal. Just to show that my shaman can kind of have both. So I need to say, okay, go to the top. Const light heal is equal to require ... slash. Yep, spells slash. Yep, light heal. Cool. And this spells push light heal. So I'm doing all the stuff that just my shaman does in the shaman class. I'm doing all the shit that just every character does in the characters class. But I am initializing this array of stuff that happens among more characters here. I'm not pushing anything into it, but the spells and the weapons exist in the character. Shaman's got spells, pets, and weapons. So now shaman has one of everything, really. It's got spell, light heal, weapons, Thunder Fury, pets, fire elemental. This structure to me now makes it very easy for me once I understand this, just like we did objects before and we moved them into classes. And I think everyone kind of agreed like, wow, this slaps. Like this is nice and organized. This is quite good. I think this is even one step better because I look at my folder structure on the left. I just kind of know where to find shit, right? Like it's really nice. Just my games and the root and my spells and weapons are in here. Oh, it makes sense to me. Like, kind of know where to find stuff. Pet should probably be in a summons folder, but I haven't really done much with pets yet. Probably refactor that. Put it in a summons folder. Maybe I have more than just pets. Maybe I can summon like totems or whatever, like static things that don't move, but they give me bonuses over time. Not just damage dealing pets. Lots of things I could summon. It doesn't really belong in character, but I'll leave it there for now because I'm only going to refactor it when I need to, I think. It's already such a big improvement over the initial flow of this game. So that's good for now on this, I think. We've kind of got some stuff. But leveling up, to me, looks a little weak. It just increases the level. We need to increase stats. But since it's on the character class, how do I increase things differently? You know what I mean? Like, if I just say this dot attack is equal to this dot attack plus 3, That means every time my mage levels up, it just gets like the same attack as like the shaman or whatever. Like it's just, it doesn't work for me. I think we need to get rid of that and just say, maybe we need the character constructor needs to keep track of what class it is. So we can do that differently. So why don't I put a class name here? I go to my mage and I'll say, oops, that's mage. This guy's a shaman. This guy's a warlock. Run node. Cool, we got class name in there. So that's pretty fun because now our character class, the base class, knows what class it actually is. So we're passing it down from the mage, the shaman, and the warlock when we create it in the constructor. Each one is telling the character differently. Cool. So now I can say if this dot class name is equal to shaman. Right? That's pretty cool. Else if this dot class name is equal to mage. Else if this dot class name is equal to warlock. Cool. So now I can level up differently depending on what class I am, but I still have my level up function in the base character class. This is probably going to be a bit confusing, but it's going to be very repeatable pattern to let the base class know what top class, what top level class called it. So the base character class knows it's a mage from the constructor and the mage. So I can be like, okay, if you get a shaman every level up, this dot attack is equal to this dot attack plus 3. This dot health is equal to this dot health plus 11. This dot mana is equal to this dot mana plus 2, etc. I'll just do a couple examples here. This dot mana plus 17. This dot magic is equal to this dot magic plus 1. And this is too much. And then this guy gets a ton of health. 29. And this dot mana is equal to this dot mana plus, manage plus 11. And this dot speed. So that's cool. They all know what's going on. So what am I doing here? Let's add a log to see what's going on. Leveling up. Now we have a log in each one just so when our node comes out we can see what's happening. So let's go to our game, which is in the root, and we log the shaman leveling up. We already have that already, so we can see leveling up the shaman. So what if I do if I console.log the shaman after? So here we got health of 100, mana of 100. We're leveling up the shaman. And now we've got health of 111, mana of 102. That's pretty dope, I think. Now we call mage.level up. Console.log mage. See what happens there. Whoa, got these stats. Magic of 6, mana of 102. Leveling up the mage, magic of 8, mana of 217. So that's really powerful shit. I hope you guys realize how awesome that is. We have wrote a single level up function, a single bunch of stats here, and look how tiny the mage class is. Look how tiny the shaman is and the warlock. And they still have all this power to like level up and have all these stats and stuff. Like we have spells that are tiny little files, and we can make infinite out of them. We have a spell class, and we can just make a million different spells, create them as consts, and then export them. That's great. I love it. We have weapons. You can make infinite weapons. You can do whatever you want. If you only have our game, let's add a definition here. Our game means, our game logic dictates a character's damage is calculated using this algorithm. Oh my God, how the hell do you spell algorithm? That's good enough. Not a spelling class. Where's the AI when you need it? The fucking thing. It was down for me tonight. Can't even spell algorithm. If a character has an active pet, we take the active pet's damage as starting value. If a character has attack damage, we add that to the active pet. If a character is casting a spell, we take the spell's damage and add it to the character's magic damage. I'll put this in one line. This will make more sense. If the character has an active pet, we take the active pet's damage starting value and add it to the character's magic damage. If the character is casting a spell, we take the spell's damage and add it to the character's magic damage. If a character has neither an active pet nor a spell, we take their weapon's attack damage and add it to, weapon's damage, and add it to the character's magic damage, attack damage. This is kind of cool. We sort of define like an algorithm in text that like makes sense. I don't know, like we have like something to build off of when we're coding. We can kind of go back and read it and make sure if it makes sense. And I'm going to do the first one. I'm going to do the first one for you guys. And that's it. If character has an active pet, we take the active pet's damage as starting value and add it to the character's magic damage. Seems tricky. So if I go back to the character class and I say we want a get damage function, because all characters can deal damage. Right off the bat, I need a way to keep track of a user's active pet. Back to the README. Let's go up here. Say game rules. Let's go here and say pet logic. A character can have an array of pets, but can only have a single active pet. They have to summon the pet. Cool. Okay. So let's say in here, this dot active pet is equal to null. Null is something you guys might have encountered, but it basically means there's no value. There's nothing there. It'll equate to false if you run an if statement on it. There's nothing there. Character starts with active pet being null. So I need to keep a way of track user active pet. If they have one, we get the pet's damage and add it to the user's the character's magic damage. Okay, so if this dot active pet is a good start. So I need a way to summon a pet. That's for sure. Summon a pet. Warlocks have a pet. 2 classes with pets. I'm going to put this in character. Summon pet. And, say pet name. Okay. If we have a pet in our this.pets array that matches the name passed in as an argument to this function, let's summon it. Okay, so if how are we going to do this? Okay, let's do a loop. More loops. That's fun. We can loop over the pets we have to find it. So for let I equal 0, I is less than this dot pets dot length, I plus plus, classic stuff. Const pet is equal to this dot pets I. Get the current pet. This pet is equal to an individual pet element in our pets array. If pet dot name is equal to pet name, because if we go to our pet class here, we say pets have a name property, so we can use that. You'll notice we don't have damage here yet. I'll have to add that in after. If pet dot name is equal to this pet dot name, this dot active pet is equal to pet. Boom, done. Loop over our pets. If we find the pet we're looking for, summon it. Make it the active pet. I want to try that out actually. I want to say warlock.summon pet imp. I think his name was imp. And then console.log warlock. Hey, I summoned him. Awesome. So that actually worked right out of the gate. I have an active pet now. We're adding a lot of base stuff to this character that we don't have to repeat. I could also summon my shaman's pet without singly touching the shaman class. His name is Fire Elemental. So if I go this, hey, this guy summoned the Fire Elemental. That's pretty cool. Pets need damage. All right, so we have to go to our shaman and our warlock where we create these new pets. Pet Fire Elemental, pet imp. This guy's, deals 3 damage. This guy deals 4 damage. Oh, and this guy's actually called Const Imp. This guy needs to be Fire Elemental. Log it out, make sure it's worked good. Yep, now the pets have damage. So if we kind of go back to our game design, we say if a character has an active pet, we take the active pet's damage as starting value and add it to the character's magic damage. Cool, so we know that if they hit this get damage loop, if we have this active pet, we can say pet damage equal to this dot active pet dot damage. Const magic damage is equal to this dot magic. That's my magic strength. Return pet damage plus magic damage. Cool. That's the first block. We've done it. We've done this now. It's the game logic of our pet. So let's say shaman.get damage. Let's console.log it. $10. So where did that come from? That came from the character of the magic damage, and we see the magic is 6 and his active pet is 4, and we've returned 10 for the damage. That wasn't too bad, actually. That was pretty easy to do. So I'm going to run through everything that I did today again to help make clear. We started off with everything in a root folder, and we decided to refactor that because we're going to add so many more files, and the files are going to be small. We don't want our spells mixing with our characters. We don't want our characters mixing with our game logic, and it's nice to have one file to know that when we run the game, we only run game.js. You know, that's everything else gets imported and used elsewhere. But we just run game.js, and that's where our game logic is, and that fucking slaps. We can just run stuff in here, import stuff into there when we need it. We've trimmed down our characters. We're going to pick 3 characters that we like. We don't want to do this 9 times and get too confusing and hung up on those details. We want to start implementing some fun game logic. And then we created this character class, this base class that has all this stuff that's going to be the same among characters in the game, because we don't want to write all this shit all the time. We don't want to take this and have it here and then have it in the shaman one and then, you know, do that in the warlock. And we didn't want to re-implement this get damage and level up function. Now we have a get damage function that works with pets on any class that has pets. Warlock and shaman don't need to know they're a warlock or shaman to be able to do this. The function's the same. It's part of our game logic we define in the README. If a character has an active pet, we're going to add the magic damage to the active pet's damage. Casting a spell is going to be a little bit trickier. You know, we're going to have to pass in the spell to here when we get to that part. So that get damage knows what spell we're casting. That's going to be fun. We're going to need some logic. We're going to need to determine whether the user has that spell. We're going to need to minus their mana, because it costs mana to cast a spell, which we have, because we have the mana property on the spell. So Fireball takes 20 mana. So we have, you know, spell.mana to access that property with, minus the mana, add the damage. Then we have the same thing with the weapon. We're, just like we have an active pet, we have a weapons array. So we're going to need a this.active weapon, right? To say what you have equipped, basically. You could even refactor that further. You know, this.equipment. Make that an object. Weapon is Thunder Fury. And armor is an armor piece. Pretend that's a real class. The shoulder pads, blah, 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 blah. And then now you could do this dot equipment dot weapon, which is pretty cool, I think. We're going to leave that for later. It's an example. It's a good spot of use for an object, I think. Keep track of, rather than have 10 different properties saying, this is the weapon, this is the shoulder pads. Maybe they have defense. Maybe if we go into our game logic, we start, this is the cycle that we're going to do the entire time we make this game. We're going to go like add logic here to our README and then sort of build it out in code and see what makes sense and what we have to do here. But maybe when someone attacks, we're not using their defense value right now. Maybe they have defense, and then if they have equipment, we add the total sum of the equipment defense together, all the different parts, then the base defense, and then minus that from the damage coming in before we subtract the health. There's lots of stuff we could do. But this is going to be our cycle. What I did today was sort of just go quicker and do it live with a little bit less explanation to show you guys what the cycle is going to be like as we build out every app we ever make. Not just this. When we make a Discord bot after this, like a real app that we're going to run and install, make some websites, make some crypto apps, we're going to do the same fucking thing. We're going to do a real README and sort of like write to ourselves, then start the implementation, and then refactor as necessary. We start off with the Mage, Shaman, Warlock. We kind of realize, wow, we're going to be duplicating a lot of code here. There's got to be a better way, and there is a better way. It's a character.js file, at least in my opinion. And we didn't over-engineer, we didn't under-engineer. We didn't do that for the spells. We didn't make subclasses for extends for the spells. I said I was going to, then decided, it's actually better. I don't think they need to be that special. I think we can just do this. If we need to make a damage over time spell, we just add a duration here. We can calculate the damage by dividing the damage by the duration. Every 5 seconds damage happens or something, right? A lot of different properties there. And that cycle is going to be good. You go back to your README and you make sure it works. And then you go back to the game and you actually run it. You say, I'm going to summon a pet. I'm going to level up a mage. And then once we actually get into it, we're going to have a big game loop function in this file. And it'll be you picking a class, killing a mob. We'll have a mobs folder, like a bad guys folder, enemies folder. We'll randomly get an enemy. You'll fight the enemy in the command line by typing like, okay, fireball. It'll do it. And then, maybe you can defend and increase your armor for a while, or like cast light heal, or you can type like summon imp in your battle. And we're going to be able to play the game. And that game, if it had a UI, would be like a real game. And it is a real game because a lot of games are text-based like this. It's going to kind of be like an adventure dungeon game. And we're going to build it out. And that game loop is going to be in game.js. And it's just going to iterate until you die, basically. A big loop that happens, a big for loop that happens. And it prompts and deals damage and summons mobs randomly. And you can, after you kill a mob, it'll give you a random piece of equipment. And then you'll call a add equipment function on the character to add the equipment. Or maybe it gives you a new spell. Maybe you leveled up. The same basic thing will be repeatable for the entire game. We're not really going to learn much new now. We're just going to keep doing this in a cycle, in a circle, and get better at it and get more familiar with it. And that's kind of it. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start using GitHub. So I'm going to grab a browser from my other screen. I'm going to go to my GitHub. We're going to share code a bit better. I'm going to make a new repository. So I hit this plus in the top right. We started off GitHub first day. Some of you guys haven't used it, but this is how we're going to keep track of the code. So I'm going to call this. This is my game. I'm just going to call it game. This is my game for the ngMyPandas code class. And it's public and it's groovy. And I create my repository. And it's telling me how to do it. So I'm going to add all these instructions. It's telling me to make a README. I don't need to do that. I've already made a README. We kind of did that. So it says it wants me to type git init. So I'll go do that in this folder. I'll say git init. Initialize an empty git repository. Git add. I'll do git add dot to add everything. We know what dot is. We've done it with code dot, and we've done it with the requires in JavaScript. Dot is your current directory. So I git add dot. Type git commit -m, my first commit. That's my commit message of what I want to push up. And you can see it's added all these files, which is pretty cool. I wouldn't care too much about how much you're paying attention to this right now or getting it, because you'll be doing this for the rest of your life using Git. So lots of time to get familiar with it, but it's added all my files, which is cool. And I can say git branch -m main. You only have to do that once. Put it on the main branch. These instructions will be available for you when you create your repo, so don't worry about it. I'm going to take this, copy, paste it, and git push -u origin main. Oops, I need to do it with SSH. Teehee. One sec. Cool. It's pushed up. If I refresh the page, I have my game on GitHub with my README here. This is how we're going to share code from now on. And I'll be able to leave comments right on it, like right here. You'll be able to link me to it and be like, I think there's a problem with my warlock. And you see how like organized this is? I can be like, okay, go to characters, go to my warlock, and I'll be able to link me, and I'll see, and I'll be able to pull down your code if I want and run it myself. That kind of thing. So GitHub's something we're going to be very familiar with over time. I'm decided to start introducing it now because it's kind of getting hard to keep track of who's got what and who needs help with what and stuff like this. But I think it's a pretty good time. And some of the homework will involve pushing up your base repo once we get this started. Yeah. I wouldn't worry too much about understanding the GitHub stuff yet. Go make the repo and just try it yourself and ask questions. And it's just a place to share code and to keep track of your code and to push up code over time. So I don't expect any of the commands I run to make sense to you, but after you run them 50 times, they'll begin to make more sense. Yeah. Any questions from today? I know it's a lot, but that's the way it's going.
Hey, Horsey, can you hear me?
Yep.
A question: when you do the function extend, and then you, if you go back to the file to characters, right? When you, where is it that you create the extend for the super function?
Super is in the one that calls.
Okay.
And
right there, so right there.
Super calls the constructor of the parent class.
Right. So my question is the first field their name always has to be the first on top when you create it?
Sorry, what do you mean?
So you type super parentheses name and then the characters file. It has to be the first one because you type name. It has to be the first one from the list.
No, it has to be the same.
Character.
It has to be the same order that this function is in. Because you're just calling this function when you call super. So just like any other function, it has to be in the right order. So name is the first argument here. So we're saying name.
Okay, gotcha.
Name. And then the class name is mage. So it's got to be class name here. And attack is the next one. So the next one's attack. And you can kind of see that if you hover over super here, it's telling you the constructor of character takes these arguments. That's what super is right now.
All right, I got it.
Anyone else confused? Do you like it? You like the new folder structure? You're overwhelmed? Yada yada yada.
Sorry, I was late. I was out looking at Christmas lights.
Yeah. I'm sure that was very titillating for a smooth brain. Christmas lights, very stimulating.
That was good.
Was it illuminating?
Actually, they had an illuminaria. So yes.
Christ. So no questions.
No, that was overwhelming.
Go back to character for a second. All right. So, okay, never mind. I was looking for where the level was at and why you skipped it, and it's not up there in the constructor, so that's why it's not pulling it. That's why you don't have to enter it. Okay.
Because we're hard coding it to 1, because whenever you make a new character, they're going to start at level 1.
Yep, so it'll just pretty much be like name, class name, and then it'll just autofill the level there because you skipped it, and that would go all the way down, and then it would skip like spells, it would skip weapons.
It's not skipping them. It's when I want to create a new character, I don't need to pass in level because level is always going to be 1. So I don't need to pass it in because otherwise if I did this, right, I would say level and then I said mage and then I would have to add in 1 as the level here and then I would have to go here and add in 1 as the level, but it's always going to be 1. Like it's a new.
Just leave it static.
It's a new character. So I can just say
unless you buy the gold pass, then you start with level 10.
Yeah.
You could implement that. You really could. You could easily implement the guy has battle pass or not, and or if he pays to win. You know, that's literally what pay to win games do. They have a function here, and it's called like starting gold or something, and it's like if battle pass, this dot starting gold is a bazillion, right? That's pay to win. Dipley, you said it's overwhelming? No?
Why didn't you add a pets array to the character class and only set it to those 2?
Oh, I can. Now that we've added the concept of active pet to the function, I think that we should do this.
Oh, okay.
Yep, that's a good improvement. And then we can remove this dot pets from the shaman, this dot pets from the warlock, and then just mage will always have it be empty, right? Because it can't have a pet.
Right.
Which I think is pretty good. I think it's a good improvement. Why not? Why not just initialize everything in the character, right? Anyone else?
You did that. Yeah, so if you did that, could you show us how to push an update so that the new files will be on there if we want to like reference them
Sorry,
on GitHub?
What do you mean? What do you, oh, show you how to like add, like update this?
How to push an update.
Yep. So if I write git status, I can see everything I've changed. So I just changed the character, shaman, and warlock, right? Pretty cool. I can see which ones are changed from my last commit to this one. So it says at the bottom here what to do. No changes added to the commit. Use git add or git commit -a. We're going to use git add. So I'm just going to git add dot. I'm going to read the instructions. We know what dot is. It's everything. Now if I write git status, I see they're green. So I've added these in. So git add dot is the main one. I'll post a little helper for git in the announcements as well. So I've done that. So now I say git commit. So because I actually want to commit this stuff. And I want to -m for the message. And then in quotes, I say change character to have an empty pets array in constructor. Removed this dot pets from shaman and warlock. Cool. So 3 files change, 1 insertion, and I do git push origin main, which is just, you'll get used to writing that, but it just pushes up to the branch main. So if I go here and refresh, hey, my latest commit is changes character to have empty pets array in constructor, yada, yada, yada. If I see my commits over here, I can see my history.
Awesome.
So this is probably the most we've covered in a day. I'm going to give 3 days for the homework this time instead of 2 days. So I want to make sure everyone has time to really grok this stuff. Especially considering we are going to be moving forward with this project for like probably, I don't know, like four lessons or something. And I want you guys to have fun with it too. Like have time to make your own spells and your own weapons, and you make whatever you want. And then you add them to your characters. Once you get the structure down, you've got this thing, you know, you've got the idea of the weapons, and, you know, maybe you add a function. It's part of the homework is going to be having an add weapon function, you know, like this. Like, so that you can add a weapon to someone. And then you've got to, like, you know, equip weapon. And then to loop over the weapons, just like we do for the summon pets here, we're going to loop over our weapons. I is less than this dot weapons dot length. I plus plus. Const weapon is equal to this dot weapons. I if weapon dot name is equal to weapon name. Up here. Hey, then we can equip the weapon. This dot equipped weapon equal to weapon. Hey, now we've got the weapon. What's up? What? Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I think he accidentally said something.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, God.
Oh, that was clear. That was me.
Gotcha. Yeah, so like the idea is kind of getting this base functionality up and really understanding it, and spending some time with it, and then having some fun once you've got this. Once you've got an equip weapon function and an add weapon, you know, add weapon adds a weapon to the user's array of weapons. Equip weapon equips a specific weapon from the user's array of weapons. Once you kind of got this down, the summoning pet and the stuff, you know, you can really have a lot of fun with it. And you can make a zillion spells or a zillion weapons, that kind of thing. and a zillion pets. We need to add pets a function to the character. So that's kind of the goal, right? I can do this again. I can say get add dot, get commit -m, add weapon and equip weapon functionality on the base character class. Get push origin main. So I pushed up those changes. And I can see I add that in there, and I can go into the announcements, and I can just share that. I can now instead of pasting you code from the day, I can paste you my GitHub repo, which is fun. And you guys can get in the use of helping each other by linking to each other's GitHub repos. So you can get 3 days. The homework's going to be largely to recreate what I've got with your own pick 3 classes, pick some spells, pick some weapons. This is going to be a little bit trickier. So you want to recreate from this, do the same stats I've got, I'll post a proper README and stuff in, but we're going to get a nice little template up for our game. So that the next lesson we can implement a little game loop. Once we have characters with pets, weapons, and spells, and they can deal damage using those, whether they have them equipped or not, and the methods to summon and equip weapons. And that's kind of all we need for a really basic game loop. We'll just need to make some enemies that have damage stats, and then a way to randomize getting them. And then we can basically play until our character is dead, and we can have little competitions. And you can even play you could clone someone's game on Git probably within I'd say 5 or 6 days and play it. And you'll be able to be like, hey, I'm going to go play Dipley's game. I'm going to see how far I can get as a mage in the text-based little fun loop thing. But I can't stress enough how important getting this stuff is. I know that 2 days ago's lesson, everyone found very illuminating. And then now this has probably added another layer of confusion on it. But it will be just as clear as the class thing was over the object once you get used to it. This inheritance, this polymorphism of the base character class. It's really just saying why repeat yourself, right? Look how tiny our little character classes are, and they use all the same logic and stuff like this. And it's gonna these assignments will combine everything we know. They're gonna combine for loops. They're gonna combine if statements, pushing to arrays, functions, function arguments, initializers in the constructor, classes, exporting down here, importing up here, folder structures, using the terminal for CD and then get. It really is going to combine everything we've learned so far. And, certain people are getting certain stuff and other people are getting other stuff. And it'll be a fun, ongoing project to be able to kind of catch everyone up to being comfortable with everything, because there's truly nothing in this that we haven't learned. So yeah, three. Sorry, go ahead.
Are you gonna cover off how to get past that password thing? Forget.
You don't get past the password thing. Forget.
Oh.
You click SSH instead here.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay.
Yeah. So if anyone
right. use that other address when you in the command line.
You what?
Use that other address in the command line.
Yes.
Instead of the HTTP. Okay, got it.
Yeah, and you'll have to create an SSH key probably. I'll link instructions for all this stuff when I prepare the homework in a little bit.
That's great. Thanks.
Cool. Anyone else? Cool. I will